So Nikon bought RED cameras. Is Canon kind of screwed now?
Welcome back to Deaton Street. Today, we're going to talk about Nikon buying RED, what that means for consumers, what that means for Canon, and what we think about that. What does that hurt the brand of either one? Does it elevate it? What does that mean? But before we get to that, let's talk about the basics. So it was announced, I believe, last week that Nikon was going to go ahead and pull the trigger on purchasing RED, which is fairly interesting because in 2022, RED actually sued Nikon for allegedly copying its video compression patents. Mm-hmm. That was eventually dismissed, but I've seen a lot of articles, some videos online that suggested that maybe after that, Nikon began talking to RED and saying like, maybe we could work together here. Maybe there's something here. And I think really
Nikon was sneaky. That's what it was.
We sue you, you sue us, we buy you type of deal.
We could work together.
Right. Which I think it's a very interesting thing because when you think about Nikon, you don't think about cinema cameras. They don't offer a cinema camera line. But when you think about RED, you think about MKBHD and the best of the cinema cams for us lowly, prosumers.
The prosumer cinema cam market.
Right. So
if you have, $5,600 for a freaking RED Komodo that is only the camera body, oh God,
yeah,
I'd kill.
It's so expensive, but I think that's part of the
so
brand, which is interesting that,
Yeah.
A company like Nikon, which you don't really think about expensive cameras when you think about Nikon, gets into the cinema camera space by buying the most expensive prosumer cinema camera line out there. It's a very interesting move. It makes a lot of sense in many different areas. But let me go ahead and read this quote from the president of RED. His name is Jared Land. And he said, "This acquisition marks a significant milestone for Nikon, melding its rich heritage in professional and consumer imaging with RED's innovative prowess. Together, like you were saying, Nikon and RED are poised to redefine the professional digital cinema camera market, promising an exciting future of product development that will continue to push the boundaries of what is possible in film and video production." I also need to look and make sure that that's the RED president, not the Nikon president. I think it's the Ubi RED president, I believe. Yeah. So what are your thoughts here? Some things that I kind of was wondering was like, does that mean we're going to get a cheaper RED camera out there eventually?
What's kind of fishy, not fishy, but just kind of like off-putting for me, is the wording in there, in that quote. Let's see, where was it at? Nikon and RED are poised to redefine the market, the professional digital cinema camera market. Do you need to though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you have to? What are you redefining? RED's fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing.
RED kind of already redefined it, right?
Exactly.
It's such a almost legendary brand. Even if you're not a RED guy, like I would say, I'm not a RED guy. I love my Sony cameras. I don't lay my head down at night thinking about RED cameras. But when you see one in the wild, you're like, whoa, that's a RED. Yeah.
I don't know. Or like the only thing that I could think of is if they're redefining the cinema camera is like, if you're gonna, are you, like you were saying, like, are you gonna put out like a more a low level RED camera with a flippy screen with all this other stuff? Because the RED Komodo is just and that's like the base level RED camera. It's a box. That's it. It's a box with a lens mount. You have to get a cage, you have to get a monitor, you have to get a battery, you have to get all the extra stuff, handles. That would be the only thing that I could see that would, I guess, be beneficial is if they were to like, oh, okay, cool, we're just going to include all of that
Yeah,
in the next build.
which brand is going to be more affected, or will the brand stay apart and actually, Red will continue to be Red, and Nikon will
That's what I
continue to
hope.
be Nikon. That's the hope, right? But
That's what I hope.
you
I
think about
doubt
other
it.
mergers, it rarely happens that way. So was founded in 2005. It currently has around 220 employees. So they make amazing stuff, but it's not like a huge company like
Yeah.
Nikon is. I cannot see Nikon keeping their name off of Red cameras for very long.
No.
It's kind of like Meta and Oculus. Meta bought Oculus. You had an Oculus Quest for like maybe a few months, a year or so, and then eventually it's like,
No, it's
now they're
Meta
Meta
Quest.
Quest.
Yep. I feel like it's going to be like Red, and then like where the R and the D kind of go down, there's going to be like Nikon underneath it
Yeah.
in the gap there.
Yeah, or Nikon through the middle of Red, because the Red's
Yeah.
pretty prominent.
Yeah.
It's an interesting acquisition. I mean, the hope here is that nothing changes.
Yeah.
I mean, Nikon wants to compete with Sony and Canon in this space, but Red's not really competing in the same space as Nikon and Sony.
Yep. And actually, Red has a little partnership deal, blah, 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 whatever, with Canon. I say partnership or anything. The whole reason for that lawsuit was because of the internal like raw recording.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Canon is the only other one that has like access to that or something on some of their cinema cameras. So there was like an agreement there. Also, a lot of your Red cameras have your Canon EF mount lens mounts. So if I were to ever want to get a Red camera, am I going to have to buy Nikon lenses now? Or,
you'd think,
or can I just keep my Canons?
You'd think that they would change the lens mount eventually, especially because Nikon and Canon are certainly in competition.
Yeah.
Nikon and Sony and Canon, they're in a competitive space. Red really wasn't.
No.
I don't know if Canon offers anything like a Red camera. Sony certainly doesn't offer anything, like a Red camera. So it's not a big leap to say that some of those things may be changing in the near future, especially as new products are developed. Be interesting to see. I mean, we're not in the space where we're going to buy Reds. But to be honest with you, if a cheap Red came out, $2,000 Red,
I'd probably get it.
I'd probably get it. Yeah.
I'd get it. If it didn't have the Nikon label plastered all over it, and I'm not dogging on Nikon. I could go to my shelf right there. My first camera was a Nikon. I have my lens cap in my hand. I literally just picked it up.
That's so cool. You're doing it just to prove that you actually have cameras.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay.
Wait, let me.
There you go.
I'll just continue this conversation with my gray card.
We'll just do, boom. No, but like my first camera that I started with was a Nikon. I moved away from that pretty quickly to Canon. I say quickly, whenever I had some money or whatever, I got a new camera. And it was a good camera, for what it was, for how old it is. So, I mean, I don't see there being anything wrong with Nikon. They're just more of a photo camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same here. My mom had a Nikon camera that she used for photos, and growing up, I thought it was the most expensive camera in the world. I was afraid to touch it. I don't know how much she spent on it, but not dissing Nikon as a brand at all.
No.
But if there are any brands that are, kind of similar to Red, Nikon's like the furthest away.
Yeah.
So let me see if I have any more. Last question before we wrap this up. This will be a short video. It's a nice little short. Good or bad for consumers? Or it doesn't matter?
So if they go the direction of making a more consumer level mirrorless or SLR or whatever camera, cool, that would be cool. or you'd have like a Nikon cinema camera at that point, using some of the red tech. If they don't go that way, I don't know. I don't think it would matter for us.
Yeah.
It might matter if they start to change the red internals for your prosumers that actually use red cameras. I'm curious to see. I don't know. Does MKBHD have a video out with it yet?
I'm sure he has to. I don't.
Has to.
I don't think I've
he's
seen
like
it, but
the red guy.
yeah, right. It's even his color, you know.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to go look for that after we record. No, I don't think it'll matter for us. I don't know.
Yeah, most folks that are in the cinema camera entry level area, you know, I don't want to just pat myself on the back here, but most are using Sonys, and if you're not using a Sony, you're probably using Canon.
Yeah.
You know, there's those are the two beefy, you know, the ones that you're going to see out and about when you're shooting.
Yep.
If you see a red, you know, the person has money, and you know, it's like seeing like a white alligator or something, like, whoa. And then you're like, it's an alligator, you know?
Oh no, I would be like, can I hold the alligator, please?
You can tell
can
you're
you
from
show
Louisiana.
me all the stuff?
The thing that I hope they don't do is I hope that red doesn't become kind of the Stratocaster for you guitar players, the Stratocaster of cameras. And what I mean by that is you can buy a Fender Stratocaster, and it could be made in Mexico or it could be made in America. And there's like a whole difference in when you have discussions about Telecaster or Stratocasters. You know, I think I have like an American made, but it's like an American made stand. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
There are like a tier leveled within the same product, you know? I just hope red doesn't become that. I hope it's not like this is a Japanese red, which
because red's like a US made company.
Yeah. Which, whatever, you know, Sony is not a US made company. I'm just saying, I hope there aren't like differences in parts. There's not like an entry level crappy parts red that you can get for the gram to put on your thing and say you have a red. I hope that it maintains its current level of quality and honestly like prestige.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
It should be interesting.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you know, do you have a red? If you have a red, I don't know why you're watching this.
And can you be my friend?
Go
play with
it. Leave us a comment and send us your email. So we can start a sponsorship. Would you, here's a good comment or a question. Would you buy a cheaper red, like a Nikon red, if they came out with a $1,200 red? Would you buy it?
I might.
I might too.
Yeah.
Let us know. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
See you, dude.